I'm a journalist for a local newspaper. Not too long ago, a woman was found dead in an abandoned warehouse in my city. She looked identical to, and DNA analysis identified her as a homicide detective on the police force. Normally, I would say a detective was found dead. I'm not, because the detective wasn't dead when the body was found. I don't mean they found a living, but injured detective. I mean, they found the detective's dead body when she was very much alive. My boyfriend, the deceased detective's partner, began investigating unofficially after the case was closed and found her diary in her apartment. During a lapse of judgment, I looked and took photos of the entire thing. I'll transcribe it here. Day 1, October 27th. My name is Olivia. I'm a detective at the Ridgeville Police Department. I've never kept a journal or diary or anything before, but I figure now is as good a time to start as any. I've never really been able to keep it up, writing in one of these. I think it's because I've always tried to write about myself, my personal life. This, though, isn't about me. This is about Jane Doe. 2 days ago, a group of teens that were wandering around the old industrial park had broken into a warehouse. They were horrified to discover a dead woman lying in the very center of the room and immediately called the police. When the officers first arrived on scene, they detained the kids for questioning, which was left to me. I got woken up at about 2 a.m. to come out in the snow and ice and investigate. I spoke to the kids, all of whom denied being drunk, and all of whom were liars, and after a little while I sent them home. I could reach them all if I needed them, and they were all chilled to the bone. Going into the warehouse, I was immediately struck by the state of the body. It was white as a sheet. Normally, this only happens if the body has been frozen or its blood has been drained. On the long walk to the center of the building, I concluded it was likely the first and that the woman had been frozen to death. There was something else, though. Something I only noticed once I got close. The woman, dressed in 1950s garb, looked exactly like me. The same shoulder-length brown hair, the same freckles in the same places. I tried to rationalize it, my mind racing to come up with some sort of explanation. Maybe a long-lost twin, a freakish coincidence, a doppelganger. That's when I noticed a scar going diagonally through her right eyebrow. A scar that I shared, one that I received when I was only 4 years old, running face first into my father's old dark oak dresser. I'm beginning to get tired and my hand is cramping. I'll write more tomorrow. Day 2, October 28th. So I just got back from a meeting with the coroner. He determined the cause of death was not freezing, like I had assumed. He couldn't determine what killed that woman or why she looked exactly like me. I gave a sample of DNA to forensics for testing against the victim's own. Of course, it's impossible that it's me. I am very much alive. Still, though, I must admit this whole ordeal has got me shaken. Leiter Ligera wants to take me off the case, but I managed to convince him to keep me on, for now. I want to solve this thing. Besides, if anyone should have some sort of unique insight, it should be me, right? My partner, Jonas, has been talking to a reporter. Ligera ordered him to make sure the details about the victim don't get out. He thinks the press would have a field day if they found out that the murder victim was the detective investigating the case. It would be impossible to explain. The city doesn't want a police department that can't give them answers. Day 3, October 29th. The department is holding a costume party on Halloween night. It seems like fun. I'm going as Wonder Woman, Jonas is going as Batman. Anyway, the DNA report came back and it was truly inexplicable. Apparently, I am our mysterious victim, at least according to forensics. Of course, Isaac, our forensics guy, told me that close familial relationships usually trip up these tests. That must have been what happened, he said. It must have been a twin or something. I nodded and faked relief, but of course I know he's wrong. That wouldn't explain the eyebrow scar, and even if it did, I never had a twin. I've seen my birth certificate, seen the hospital records from the day my mother had me. There was no mention of any twin. Still, though, the idea is the only thing keeping me sane. I have to hope that's what's happened. I mean, maybe my parents had a second daughter and put her up for adoption. Maybe they never told me. Maybe they somehow got the doctor to change the hospital records. Maybe she happened to injure herself in the same way I did 27 years ago. I've scheduled an interview tomorrow with Dr. Morrow, the man who oversaw my birth. Hopefully, in my next entry, I'll have some answers. Day 4. October 30th, I saw Dr. Morrow. I recorded our entire conversation with his permission for use in proving or disproving the theory that the victim is my twin sister. Going in, I felt as if I already knew the answer to my question, but I was determined to know for sure. I asked him several questions, like if he was present during my mother's birth process, how many children she gave birth to on that day, what the child or children's names were. About halfway through, I turned off the recorder. He would never admit to it with the tape still going, and asked the good doctor whether there was any possibility that my mother gave birth to twins that day, and for whatever reason, he didn't enter it into the record. I assured him that no repercussions would occur should he admit to doing so. He denied it. I asked if he was sure, and he was adamant that my mother gave birth to only one child that day. I thanked him for his time and left. I felt like the world was crashing down on me. There was no twin. A small part of me maintained that perhaps he had been lying, but deep in my gut I knew the truth. I know it now. I have no twin. The woman those children found that day was me. If you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. That quote has guided me my entire professional career. But what if the truth itself is impossible? I suppose I'll find out. I suppose I have no choice. I know I don't because my costume arrived today from the Halloween store. Inside was not a Wonder Woman costume like I had purchased, but instead one labeled the Mid-Century Woman. It was a tasteful flower dress and straw hat with a decorative sunflower tied to it and a pair of bright ruby red stilettos. The same outfit the woman was wearing when we found her. The same outfit I was wearing. Day 5. October 31st, I've got nothing. No leads, no answers, nothing. I've spent all day wrestling with this in my head. I've been trying to reach Jonas, but there's no answer. He must be with that reporter, his new girlfriend. I'm leaving for the party soon, wearing this outfit that under normal circumstances, I would adore. Now though, I feel like I'm about to march to the gallows. This will likely be my last entry. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, it's a fright, but I want the reader of this to know that I'm not insane. I'm not losing my mind. I hope someone can make sense of this where I couldn't. Regards, Olivia Johnson. I found a short police report sitting next to it on my boyfriend Jonas's desk. I'll transcribe it too. Ridgeville Police Department Missing Persons Report. This is a missing persons report filed by Detective Jonas Quinn, reporting his partner, Detective Olivia Johnson, to be missing. She was last seen alone outside of the Ridgeville Police Department, wearing a white flower dress and tan straw hat with a sunflower on the side. She was observed by cameras turning the corner of the building, though was not spotted by the camera on the opposite side of the wall. For the several months following the disappearance, a search was carried out, turning up nothing. The remains of a similar-looking individual discovered several days ago on the other side of the city, while suspected by some to be linked to the disappearance, are not considered relevant to this investigation by the Ridgeville Homicide Squad. At this time, both investigations has been closed pending discovery of new evidence.